ain't no legislature turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom way.
Welcome to Truth2Power4U. I'm your host, Brian Kasher. Truth2Power4U is a mini-series produced for organizers and people who want to improve the human condition, like you and me. While the corporate media is generating profits covering the daily distractions, Truth2Power4U is about organizing for action. This episode features the ToxicFree NC Keep the Hives Alive program, sharing information about the downfall of bee populations and the underlying causes for it. Our musical guest is Panman, who builds chakra-tuned instruments called Terre Pan, which is used at rallies to promote peace and on stage for pure vibes, so get your chakra ready. Also featured are mini interviews with people at the HKonJ telling their reasons for being engaged. Truth2Power4U is not corporate produced and has no budget, so you can help by sharing this program, liking our Facebook page, and commenting about what's going on in your corner of the world, so we know, okay? All right, ToxicFree NC is a nonprofit with the mission of engaging in the transition to a toxic-free society through initiatives promoting human and environmental health as a priority. You know, like where the toxins in our air, water, soil, food, and consumer products are simply eliminated. Today we're taking a brief look at the Keep the Hives Alive program. Keep the Hives Alive builds awareness about pollinator decline and offers sound policy recommendations to Washington and even companies potentially involved with causing the hive decline disorder. Let's take a look.
We had our documentary screening today that talked about pesticide use and how pesticides, especially in the agricultural industry, can affect honeybees.
I mean, that whole 400 hives of bees, you couldn't have found enough bees to fill a 5-gallon bucket. I literally got down on my hands and knees and crawled around and looked under the pallets for dead bees. I mean, that's how frustrated I was. Something had changed in these bees' environment. And interesting enough, the only thing that changed was pesticide usage.
My family has been beekeeping since I was about 12. The reason that I got involved in ToxicFree NC was because we were really concerned about how many bees we're losing each year.
Probably know about Jonathan Lundgren and his work there, and Jonathan was an example of a progressive scientist who really wanted to answer some of these questions about what's the effect of coated seeds, neonics, and the whole field, and Jonathan eventually ran into a bureaucracy that didn't want him to be asking those questions.
In addition to pressuring EPA, USDA, and Congress, that we had to bring the fight to the actual manufacturers. Involved in the tour were about 2.5 million dead bees that we trucked around as an exemplification of the stressors that beekeepers face every year, to show people that these are real consequences that happen. It's not just honeybees or managed honeybees, but native pollinators. You have birds, bats, your native solitary bees. All those things cannot be removed from a pesticide application, so it's not like you just pick them up and move them.
It's very clear that for soybeans there's no benefit whatsoever. It's probably the case for corn as well, but EPA has stifled the study that they were doing on it. If there's no benefit to the farmers really in the long run, when you add up what they have to pay for the coatings and what the benefit is nationally from production, then why do we have these products on the market?
I can tell you from my first-hand experience that keeping bees in Charlotte, in and around the city, in an urban environment, and I also have the bulk of my hives up in the mountains in western North Carolina. Hives in the city, definitely I suffer a higher loss rate, a much higher loss rate over the winter than the bees in the mountains. And also honey production quantities in the mountains are nearly triple what they are in the city. I attributed that largely to just the overall health of the hives and exposure to different chemicals that are used in and around the landscape setting versus a forested setting.
And bees that have been exposed on their foraging trip to these sublethal dosages and bring that to the hive, and then they feed their larvae with that, it has to have an effect. So
save the bees. Now, me personally, what I've done to help bees is plant sacred basil, what's called tulsi, sacred basil, anise hyssop, and lemon balm. Those three are the three main pollinators that I've used over the last few years. I think it's important for people in urban settings to have access to fresh food and not just look at farming and gardening to be something that's solely in rural areas. I think that the mindset of just having farming and gardening in a rural area, that's something that we've been conditioned to think. And I think that even the mindset of a backyard garden is something we've been conditioned to have, because if your backyard is not facing the right direction, it's not gonna grow proper. So, if you have a yard that faces south or east as a front yard, it's better to have food than a lawn.
Yeah, so ToxicFree North Carolina is a 30-year-old organization. We were founded in '86. We chose to participate in the Keep the Hives Alive campaign because we have a large beekeeping community, as we saw today and see throughout our entire state, and it was representative of the community that we support. And honeybees represent an important and integral part of our food system, which is in alignment with our mission, so for that reason we chose to go for it.
It's been difficult because there's no one thing that causes like colony collapse disorder. It's the accumulation of all of the different factors. So like varroa mite infestations might go up because their immune systems are compromised because of pesticide use. So it's difficult to like make a big policy change. So it's important to educate people. So instead of just pointing out the issue like pesticides are bad for bees, like go organic, we're trying to offer solutions to make a sustainable change.
Why do we have these products on the market? It would seem the only reason they're on the market is to line the pockets of the chemical industry. So that doesn't make any sense, does it? They have good advertising budgets, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, but for what? Who's benefiting?
We're in this together, folks. ToxicFree NC networks at the local, state, national, and international levels on issues that affect us all. Bee colony collapse syndrome is real and widespread across America. Neonicotinoids and monoculture agriculture, plus even mass trucking of bees in their hives across America, are tearing up the balance of our food production natural resources. Be sure to watch the full Keep the Hives Alive documentary, which is available online. Next up is CR Panman playing the Terrapan. Terrapan is often tuned using the chakra system, which is aligned with the regions of our bodies. The instrument's tones are for both calming and some even say healing, much like Indian singing bowls. Organizers outside of Greenpeace Direct Action Training share their thoughts on organizing during this Terrapan solo concert by the Panman.
I think it's really important for people to get involved in their local community and local actions because we have a voice. Oftentimes, community members aren't listened to or aren't heard, or their story is told for them by media and corporations. But the reality is we are able to tell our own stories. And by getting involved and taking action and standing up against the powers that be, we're able to tell our own narrative and demand our rights. So I encourage you to get involved locally and find the group that speaks to you.
Increasingly, the disparity of wealth and poverty increases in this country, and fewer people and institutions have inordinate power. And the only way to counter this is for more people to be concerned with being citizens and being active. I'm not saying where you should be active, but the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.
I learned long ago a basic principle that all politics is local, okay? So, you know, we may have issues with the federal government and the oligarchy, et cetera, and the mass media, but we have to change things in our local communities. And that's face-to-face, and it's one-on-one, and you have to get in touch with people's emotions and their feelings.
I go every day and provide free health care to homeless women and children. We've been doing this for 20-something years. It makes so much sense. Pinch me. I have people that come and volunteer. It's a beautiful thing. We can do beautiful things. We can make good things happen together.
The following mini interviews are just a tiny sampling of the over 80,000 people who marched for change from all over the South at the HKonJ. This segment ends with an analysis of our current societal condition by Pastor William Clare Turner of the Mount Level Baptist Church in Durham, who is a professor of preaching and Black church studies at Duke Divinity School.
We don't need to use the Republicans and the Democrats that we need to do right versus wrong, which means we need to fight for our rights and not just let the wrong things go into our heads and stuff.
Veterans for Peace is an international organization, and its primary goal is education to challenge the existing paradigm of militarism that we have in the country. So we're here as part of the 200 plus groups to stand in solidarity in a fusion movement to bring attention to social justice disparities.
My mom immigrated here almost 30 years ago. She's been a citizen for almost 10 years now. And I don't know, she left communist China to make her life here for me. And I feel like everybody should be afforded that same right.
My sign just covers a whole lot of issues that I feel are under attack right now. Number one being Black Lives Matter, which I'm an active organizer for in Wilmington, North Carolina. So just all the things with police violence and injustices going on there. Women's rights is under attack with healthcare and Planned Parenthood, and they don't understand. They make it all about abortion, but it's much more than that that's going on. Then we have, you know, just general love is love with equality, you know, with LGBT rights and everything that goes on with there, because everything is love and everything is better with kindness at the end of the day. And science is under attack as well, and that's something that I support as well.
I'm a teacher in North Carolina, and public education is under threat right now, and I think the most important thing that we can do for our future, for our children, is to make sure that every child in North Carolina and across the United States of America has deserving, steadfast public education. It's the most important issue that we face right now. So as a mom and a teacher, I'm standing on the side of love for all children.
People over money build a community, saying that we should stick together and our people as one nation is more important than money.
Right on, thank you.
Oh, mine's voting rights, of course. We don't want, we want everybody to have equal voting rights, and I believe in one person, one vote. So I think that the Electoral College should be done away with.
We're only some of the Raging Grannies. We're an international organization of women from throughout the U.S. and Canada. We are the triangle gaggle of grannies. We come from throughout North Carolina. We're here today because we know that our grandchildren's future is being threatened.
I mean, it just seemed obvious, you know. I mean, you know, Mitch McConnell was good enough to give everybody the slogan, and tying it into somebody who historically, you know, had to keep trying again, got arrested, kept getting arrested to further the cause. Just seemed obvious.
Yeah, so I really think that as students we have the power to decide and to say what we need to say, especially in today's world where protesting is becoming more and more of a thing. And you have to find your voice and you have to come out to things like this and you have to say, I won't stand for racism, I won't stand for Islamophobia, I won't stand for all of these terrible, terrible things that are hurting our nation. So that's what this sign is about.
1965, I was a very junior rookie civil rights worker in Alabama. Got arrested with Dr. King and a whole bunch of other people fighting for voting rights for people of color in the South. We made the struggle of all those heroic folks, most of whose names we don't remember, really made some progress then. And in 2013 here in this state, they tried to roll all that back and they haven't stopped trying. So I made this sign in 2013. If you look close, you'll see where it says 2017. The number has been changed this morning because this is an old sign, but it's not outdated, I'm sorry to say.
Hi, can you tell me a little bit about your sign, please?
So many different animals are used by humans for different reasons that are not fair to them, and I tried to show some of them here. So we got a turkey representing the animal agriculture, and the marine mammals for SeaWorld and captivity, and with the elephants also in the circus and being poached for their tusks and all kinds of stuff. And I just think it's very important that we realize that animals are here with us and not for us, and that we should value them just for them being alive and not for what they can give to us.
Yes, this is Stop ICE from deporting immigrants and raiding homes and separating families. So there's been raised the past couple of days. The executive order and law enforcement is just tearing families apart, and it's not right. So that's what I'm here today to support our immigrant families.
I called Senator Burr's office and left him what I thought was a fairly straightforward, honest answer. And then I was really upset when I heard in committee that he said, this must be a conspiracy. There can't be this many people who disagree with approving DeVos. And I just felt really dismissed. I'm a constituent. I may not have voted for him, but my voice should still count.
Okay, I do have a second question. Did George Soros pay you $2,500 to come here?
No.
No?
No one paid me anything.
Yeah, I can't find the applications anywhere. Right?
I wish.
My wife and I were Muslims. So here we're standing for just to show that Islam's for peace, that the ideas of terrorism and the perception of what Islam is based off the media is wrong, and that people should seek to learn about Islam, seek to actually meet a Muslim and learn about Islam for what it actually truly is. And we're here to stand with everyone else, all of the organizations for civil rights, against oppression, against injustice, and against the legislation.
Hi, I'm a home care worker. I'm from Fight for 15, and we're just out here just trying to raise up and let everybody know that it's still a battle going on. $7.25 is not a livable wage, and we need more in order to live. And it's going to make society better if we can take care of ourselves and provide for our families. So that's why we're out here fighting for 15.
Thank
you. You're welcome.
You want to say something about your sign, hon?
I think my mom should get more money than $7 because she doesn't have enough money to pay bills.
Well, I think one of the overall major problems in the U.S. with the Republican Party is voter suppression. They use every technique in the book to keep people from voting, and until all of us can vote freely, it will be an issue and we won't be represented as we should be.
And that's tied into Citizens United. Corporations are not people, money is not speech, and that ties right into voter rights.
This sign actually comes from downloaded from the Amplifier Foundation. They have artists that donate images for causes like this. And this sign basically represents the education. It costs less than prisons. Invest into the communities, into the education, and less into prisons, and we'll end up being better off in the long run.
Well, we're spending a beautiful day in Raleigh. The people in the street talking about freedom and justice, understanding and compassion for our neighbors and our friends.
We had just purchased the March series by John Lewis and read it leading up to the election, and it just really inspired me to revisit the struggle and the hardship that all of our predecessors in the civil rights movement experienced before us. And it was a reminder to me that that struggle isn't over, and we need to continue to move forward for not only us, but for our kids and every other child that's out there.
It's all good, it's beautiful.
So I get emotional. But I get emotional about it.
It's important, it's so important.
So,
and just to add my 2 cents, I think we know the world is dangerous and there are lots of things going on, and there's a tendency to lash out, and we know there's a better way, right? We don't need to be build walls up around our country. I think there's a better way to get past these troubled times. That's what we support.
My mom is an immigrant, and I really feel like the times right now, it's sort of been hostile towards immigrants. And I just think of what my mom went through to get here and have a better life for her family and make our lives possible the way it's been. And I just want to let people know that, you know, without immigrants, this nation was built on immigrants, and they're a necessary part of America. It's what we're founded on.
I made the sign last night. It says, "One more nasty woman who stands for liberty." And I felt that the sign was a good general statement about freedom, because we have so many rights that are being stepped on right now. And I thought, who better than the Statue of Liberty, who is one more nasty woman. So, and I'm just one person, but I'm one more nasty woman trying to stand for liberty, because it's all I can do.
I'm out here with Charlotte NAACP, encouraging everyone to just use their voice, use their power to vote and everything like that. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be out here, and I can't wait to come back next year and years after that.
There's so many issues that get people motivated right now that we almost all need to know that we're in one big movement, and we've also got our local passion too. And so love is at the center of my gathering, not hate and justice, but I'm all about the planet. And so I want to really stress that we are joining together in a resistance, and we're each passionate still about our little piece.
Fists are raised in solidarity, and I have Black Lives Matter up there, and also Muslims, Native lives, trans lives. I think these are the people that are most attacked under the Trump administration, and I just want to say that I'm here to stand with them, and I'll continue fighting for them.
This United States of America cannot afford to have Donald Trump take us back. When there were no unions, when there was no wage worth having, we can't afford to do it. Not this way, not tomorrow, and not today. Thank you.
I'm a crossing guard at an elementary school in Chapel Hill, and the families there gave me the empty hat, so I had to gather up all the pins to put on it. But
what about the pins? Tell me about it.
well, there's a bunch of them up there, but I guess the one particularly today is I'm a granny groupie, and so I get to wear a granny groupie pin in the front. And I'm part of a Presbyterian church in Chapel Hill, and I put up any pins I can get that are focusing on justice and peace. So that's my goal.
Well, I'm just really concerned as a mother of a kid in public school and public university that they're trying to pass a law that teachers and students can have guns on campus. It really bothers me. What?
Wait, what was that?
Because you have to watch out for grizzlies.
That's right.
My sign was created years ago for a Women in Black march in Asheville, North Carolina, but I think it speaks to all the issues.
Basically, I'm out here to represent all that are listed on this sign and the rights of all mankind. Basically, that's it.
If you look at the history of this nation, social justice, evangelical faith is all stitched together. It's all stitched together. In abolition, women's suffrage, struggles against child labor, you know what I'm saying? And so then I would call it a brutal fracture to separate the two. And the problem now is that we have heard such a narrative that has relectured the synthesis until it seems as though in the minds of many that the split is the original state of things. That's not the case at all. The unity is the original state of things. And so some of us are struggling to return to that unity where one feeds the other. And it's the separation of the two that causes the injury and the harm and the space for all kind of evil to creep in. And the greatest evil is the will to power, despising the poor, making unjust laws, stepping on the necks and on the backs of those who are already down and suffering. That's a double injustice. That's a double injustice. And some of us see it. We know it. We've seen this before. We've been through it. We know the cost in terms of human suffering. We've seen it. And so, no matter where we are now, what we've achieved, what we've done, we can't forget. We can't forget. Yeah.
What you do matters.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. I'm Brian. Wow. Nice to meet you.
Well, that's it for today. You know, this program's not produced for a mass audience, so we really do want to hear from you. Help us by sharing this program on your timeline, and please like the Truth2Power4U Facebook page so you'll be notified when the next program's released. Closing for us today is Nashville's own songstress of the people, Annie DeChant, with her meaningful song, Out There. Listen to this song, folks. This song makes the case, using our own collective history, that if we get out there, we absolutely can make change. Absolutely. It's proven over and over and over and over again throughout history. So, hey, get out there.
People thought they were off their rockers. They'd never get that airplane off the ground. Till one morning out in Kitty Hawk in that Carolina sky, she flew 12 seconds before she came back down. Then people thought the sky was the limit, that going to the moon could not be done. But when the Eagle landed, that brave space cowboy took one small step and proved everybody wrong. Out there, dancing on a wire, out there, running through the fire. They ain't afraid to fall, they live to risk it all. If you're gonna do a lot, then you gotta be a little out there. A seamstress from Montgomery, Alabama, stayed seated on a bus and took a stand. That brazen little move caused a revolution. She broke every boundary when she wouldn't budge an inch. So if you think that you won't make a difference, that what you're trying to prove is too bizarre, remember it's the dreamers, the do-or-die believers that march right into history just being who they are. Out there dancing on a wire, out there running through the fire. They ain't afraid to fall, they live to risk it all. If you're gonna do a lot, then you gotta be a little out there. Oh, out there, busting down the fences, out there, damn the consequences. Let's live to risk it all, and don't be afraid to fall. If we're gonna do a lot, then we gotta be a little out there. People thought they were off their rocker.
Nice. Woo.
Thank you.